The historic Snoqualmie mill site, seated along the eastern edge of the city of Snoqualmie, is one of the largest remaining undeveloped areas within the urban growth boundary in all of Washington state. Prior to its conversion into an industrial site, this land was a riparian zone, or marshy wetland, home to a variety of water-loving plants and animals. As is true for the entire Snoqualmie Valley, this site is a part of the traditional lands of the Snoqualmie people. From 1917 through the early 1990s, this property served as the site of a legendary and record-setting lumber mill, owned and operated by the Weyerhaeuser Company. After the mill closed, the site was relatively unused until 2010, when Weyerhaeuser sold the property to new owners who opened up the well-known Dirtfish Rally School. Today, the Snoqualmie mill site is undergoing review for a proposed commercial industrial development. Due to its long history as a heavy industrial use property, the Snoqualmie mill site carries some important and potentially problematic environmental implications. During much of the 7-decade legacy of Weyerhaeuser's operation at the site, environmental awareness was far behind the standards of today. Practices regarding the handling and disposal of hazardous chemicals and materials were insufficient to non-existent. As a result, an arguably significant amount of organic and chemical contamination has been detected through various environmental studies and reviews of the mill site over the course of the past 50 years. Among these contaminants are polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, a chemical which has since been outlawed due to its extreme toxicity and mutagenic, teratogenic, and carcinogenic capacities. In other words, PCBs have the capacity to cause gene mutations, birth defects, and cancer. According to a particularly notable review conducted by Associated Earth Sciences Incorporated in 2015, there are several areas on the mill site which have been flagged as hazardous, one of which was recommended for indefinite isolation. According to the reviewers, this portion of the property, located due north of Borst Lake, commonly known as the Mill Pond, would likely have to remain isolated and protected from any future site development, specifically due to the presence of PCBs. In 1993, the Washington State Department of Ecology registered the Snoqualmie Mill property on its list of contaminated sites, after the site was considered and ultimately left off of the federal Superfund sites list. The decision to leave the site off of the federal list was reached due to the state program's supposed capacity to expedite cleanup. However, the property has been awaiting proper cleanup ever since. The company currently managing the mill site, aptly named Millsite Ventures LLC, has proposed a planned commercial industrial project for this site, the plans for which they initially proposed to the city in 2017. This project would include some combination of residential, commercial, and light industrial uses. According to language published on the developer's official project website, the preferred plan for the first phase of the project would include a concentration of wine-related uses. Continuing from there, the site states that land uses would include wine production, wine tasting, and other supportive wine-related uses, restaurants, event space, and housing. The second and third phases of the project would focus on light industrial, corporate, and institutional uses. Though this particular feature has been much debated so far, one version of the development would include a large outdoor amphitheater, akin to the Chateau Saint-Michel winery in Woodinville. As an independent community group, we have many concerns. Most importantly, the mill site is situated atop a critical aquifer recharge zone and within 100 feet of the Snoqualmie River. With the extent of contamination at the site, we are concerned that any degree of dredging, digging, piling, etc. could disturb these toxins and create the distinct likelihood for them to end up in our waterways. We are also concerned with the potential impact a development of this size and nature could have on the viability of existing downtown businesses. Planned developments such as these often end up functioning as self-contained areas where tourists, patrons, etc. are not compelled or motivated to patronize businesses outside of these contained areas. All the while, our downtown businesses are already struggling enormously in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are additionally concerned about the inevitable effect this development would have on plant and animal life, and the distinct risk for noise and light pollution, especially as it relates to the proposed amphitheater. We are additionally concerned about this project and property due to the unsettling track record of the developers themselves when it comes to abiding by municipal and environmental code. For over 2 years after taking over management of the mill site, Brookwater Advisors LLC, owned and operated by the same individuals who own and operate Millsite Ventures LLC, were cited monthly by the Washington State Department of Ecology due to their failure to submit mandatory stormwater discharge reports to the agency. After nearly 30 notices of violation, no further action had been taken from either Brookwater Advisors or the Department of Ecology. When this issue was brought to the attention of the City of Snoqualmie in 2018 by independent civilian reviewers, several members of the City Council and staff agreed to look into the problem. As of this year, no follow-up has occurred to our knowledge. Similarly, in both 2017 and 2018, Millsite Ventures LLC engaged in unpermitted construction activity on the mill site to install a temporary parking lot to serve the annual Boeing Classic golf tournament at the PGA course on Snoqualmie Ridge. In 2017, the construction was noticed by an independent resident who notified the city. Upon notification, the city issued a stop work order to the property managers. However, the city allowed Millsite Ventures to retroactively apply for a permit for the work that had already been completed. The city signed the permit and all potential penalties were waived. Unfortunately, in 2018, the same problem arose when a separate independent resident noticed the same nature of work occurring on the mill site. When the issues were raised to the city this time, the city confirmed that the construction was not permitted, yet they decided to treat the instance as a new case, not taking the previous year's violation into account. Therefore, the work was again retroactively permitted and no further action was taken. Due to this problematic and complex history of violation and subsequent lack of accountability on the part of both the developers and the city, we are doubly concerned with the capacity and, frankly, the right for these agencies to oversee and permit construction of such a major development on such a vulnerable and potentially hazardous site. As it stands currently, the proposed development of the Snoqualmie mill site is under review in accordance with the State Environmental Policy Act. Since 2017, the site has been under active review by an agency hired by Millsite Ventures LLC, with the ultimate goal of completing the required environmental impact statement. In May, the City of Snoqualmie released a draft of the environmental impact statement for this proposed commercial industrial project. From now through 11:59 p.m. on July 10th, the City of Snoqualmie is accepting public comment as per SEPA requirement regarding the DEIS document. While the document is close to 3,000 pages long, the more eyes we have on it, the better. After July 10th, the public will not be given any further opportunity to comment on the document or the project. If you would like to volunteer to review a section of this document for our working group, please email us at snoqualmieaction @gmail.com. As a community group, we are also raising money to hire a professional traffic engineer and environmental specialist to help us review the document. To contribute to our GoFundMe campaign, please visit the following link. For more information about the environmental and cultural history and significance of the Snoqualmie Mill site, please visit our website at www.snoqualmiemill.co. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We hope this video has been helpful and informative, and we hope that you will take some time to share it with friends and neighbors who also live in Snoqualmie. Thank you.